And we're live. Okay, I almost lost track of time. Okay, so yay, we have Lynette. Hi, Lynette. We have Cappuccino, and we have Amy Books It. So we should give ourselves a name. Maybe we're like the knitting circle or something. So once again, I'm going to try to do a bigger eye than last week. If you guys watched my trope theater, you'll understand why I was doing kind of a neutral, smaller look, so it would go with each of those characters. And oh my gosh, that was so tiring to do. I did, 5 skits? And I was just exhausted after doing the female roles, so I didn't do the male roles until like a couple days later. And I was trying to do, I thought, okay, I'm going to do like the drag king makeup, which is usually females looking like males. So I was like looking at some of those tutorials. And I did such a terrible job because you're supposed to like highlight the cheeks down, I guess, and to like carve sort of these angular shapes. And I know it looked terrible, but I thought it was funny. Okay. So this week, I thought I was going to do something in between. Well, I did these big wings, but I'm going to do like the smaller cut crease because I thought that looked better, which will give more room for for the color. So I want to do color this time, but I'm going to use this flash palette, which, by the way, a flash palette is, I don't know if they're oil-based or cream-based, but they're basically for face paints. Like if you go to a carnival and they're painting butterflies on kids, they use these flash palettes. But what I wanted to do, and I've seen other drag queens do this because I wanted to try it out, but they put these flash colors down to deepen the color. So I think I'm going to do pink today. Absolutely loved your trope video. Thank you, Lynette. Oh, it's like, oh, it's the cringe. The cringe is real. I kind of have a story about that video, and it really is only of interest to people that do YouTube. But so I uploaded the video, and I got a copyright claim, which is different from a strike. A copyright strike means you're in trouble because someone is claiming you're illegally using their clips. A claim means that they're claiming some of the copyright, and any money that's made off the video, that money's going to go to the copyright owner, or a portion of it, which is fine. It's fine by me because I'm not monetized. So I've gotten a couple of them before for like using like a little movie clip or something. And it's like, I don't care. I'm not monetized. What's it matter? So I got it for the trope video, the trope theater video. And I was like, well, that's weird. But, you know, I've gotten them before. I don't care. I'm just going to let it pass. But then I started looking at who claimed the copyright, because I used background music, and all the background music I used, I was pretty certain was copyright free. So I was like, well, maybe one of these background musics are copyrighted. And the name of the copyright owner that was claiming my video was some woman, and it was like dance party or something like that. And I'm like, did I use something called dance party? So I searched it up, and it was on YouTube. This, it wasn't a music video. It had a static picture, but it had dance party by so-and-so. So I started listening to it, and it was like this house music for like the first, I don't know, 30 seconds or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't use this. But then it switched, and it started doing clips from old TV shows. So one of the clips was the I Love Lucy theme song. And I was like, there is no way that this person owns the I Love Lucy copyright. So it really pissed me off, because obviously it's some type of scam, because in the description of their video, it said YouTube automatic copyright or automated copyright. So they were scamming YouTube by claiming all these old TV theme songs were theirs, because it was sandwiched in between, I guess, they're some type of music. And I thought, these people are crooks doing this. So I decided, I've never done a dispute before, but I'm like, I'm going to dispute this, because this is wrong what they're doing. So I went through the dispute process, and the screen comes up, and I understand why people rarely dispute things, because it says, if you dispute this, there's a chance you could lose your channel. And I'm like, I'm not going to lose my channel for this. But then I thought, but I don't want to let these people get away with it. So I went ahead and did the dispute. And the process takes 30 days, or the copyright alleged owner has 30 days to respond. So it's like, shit. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to put this video on hold for 30 days. So I'm just going to recut it and take out the I Love Lucy theme music. And lo and behold, a couple hours later, the copyright owner, in quotes, allowed me to use the music, or they withdrew the copyright claim. And what's more, because I was pretty harsh in my language in the dispute, I was like, this appears to be a fraudulent use of yada, yada, yada. And so not only did they withdraw their claim, but they took down the video so no one else can find it, I guess. I don't know. But that's my little story of how I almost didn't have the I Love Lucy video. Okay. Thank you, Cappuccino. Hey, Blue Black. Yeah, Cappuccino, it was a total scam. It was a total scam. And I'm just surprised, because, I mean, they took down the video, but they could just as easily have reposted it, under some other YouTube account. But I'm just surprised that YouTube hasn't closed that very obvious loophole. I guess it's a loophole. Yeah, that really pissed me off. I don't want this harsh. Well, let's see if the shadows will blend out the this flash palette color. But yeah, I can see on the monitor that it's a lot more vibrant than just plain shadow. Okay. The only time I have entered a dispute is on Facebook, was when I got accused of hate speech for using the phrase white man. Okay, we won't even get into that. That's just bizarre. Okay. So, did I talk about how to, or the story about the dragon was mostly true? Because I finished it finally. And I only gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, which kind of made me feel guilty. But it was actually kind of pissing me off because there's just so many of these tangents that got in the way of the story. But I also finally finished the Poppy Wars on audiobook. And I gave that 5 stars. I was vacillating between 4 and 5 stars, but on Goodreads, I just decided to give it 5 stars. Mostly just to show that, mostly just for the whole trilogy, not just for the last book. Because I do think it's a 5-star trilogy overall. And I was going to do a video today on it, but I need to prepare more. Okay, so that. Oh, lore, Kayla, thank you. So I finished all those books, and I started lore, and I love it. I love it so far. It's a sort of a cross between Percy Jackson and the Highlander, that science fiction movie where there can only be one. I think the first one had Sean Connery, and I forgot the actor who played the main role. Sean Connery had a supporting role, but yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's, I almost want to say Percy Jackson for young adults, but only because it is very, it's based on like the Greek mythos, and if you enjoyed that in Percy Jackson as a middle grade, I could see you really loving lore, because there's a lot of similarities. That's this pink. Oh yeah, this pink is great. It looks really blended on the monitor. Okay, I may be using this flash palette more. I don't know, I think it looks good. And actually, I really liked my makeup last week too. I am on the 3rd book of the Poppy Wars. I have started not like, you just started. You just started. I thought she became a little bit problematic in the 2nd book, but I think last week I mentioned I was kind of expecting how the book would end, and it did end how I was expecting. But I was overall pleased with the ending. I don't know why makeup just doesn't like to stick to my under eye, at least the shadows. I guess I should have it come up the side a little. Yeah, about getting a claim for saying white man. One complaint I have read about lore is that you need a good knowledge of Greek mythology to understand that. Is that true? Well, that's a good question. Maybe it's because I played D&D so much. I didn't have any trouble following the Greek mythology. There are references to. I don't think you need a huge understanding of Greek mythology, but it does help to know that there's Zeus who begat Aphrodite. No, Aphrodite actually wasn't Zeus's daughter in Greek mythology. Actually, Aphrodite, her name means sea foam in Greek, and her origin story is, I believe, someone could look this up. I believe it was Kronos. Anyway, I think it was a Titan that had his penis cut off or something like that, and it was thrown into the ocean, and it bubbled up, and Aphrodite was born. You see Venus on the half shell with Aphrodite rising, and that created sea foam. Anyway, I don't know why I just went there, but it's good to know, the relationship between Zeus and Aphrodite, Apollo, Athena, Artemis. I think you just need a general understanding of Greek mythology, and just looking at a wiki page just as a refresher of who the Greek gods are is probably enough. Because now that you mention it, I don't think that they really go into huge explanations of the relationships of the gods. And I think there's a reason for that, but I don't want to give spoilers. Lynette, won the dispute, yes. Yeah, everything's automated. Everything's bots for all these channels. It was Uranus's genitals after he got, there we go, castrated by Kronos, there we go. Because Uranus was the father of Kronos. Greeks love killing their parents. And I'm much better at Norse and Finnish than Greek. But like I was saying, I don't think you need a enormous knowledge of Greek mythos. Just a general one, just to, if you understand the names, you know, oh, Ares is a god of war. But anyway, I'm trying to think if I didn't know anything about the Greek mythos, if I would still enjoy the story just based on the plot and the story, and I think I would. Okay, so let's, am I ready for black already? This went so quick with that cream shadow or that flash palette. Okay, well, let's just cut the crease, see what happens. Blue black, I am Greek. Oh, so that makes sense. You had Greek mythology in primary school. Okay. I'm still enjoying WandaVision. Others, the show I was watching Sunday, last Sunday I had a headache, I think from allergies, which I get when the season changes. And of course, now I'm getting paranoid. Do I have COVID? but I think it was just allergies. And I didn't feel like reading. I just felt like, lying down and watching some show on TV. And I started watching Prime Suspect with Helen Mirren, which is this BBC show that started in the 90s. And I thought it was really good. And the interesting thing about it was it wasn't like a 1 hour episodic show where there's like a whole season. And if there's a story arc, it might be like 10 hours of watching. Excuse me. The shows were divided into two 90-minute episodes. So it's like watching a 3-hour murder mystery movie. And it was really topical. Like the first episode or the first story was about this woman being the first woman in this I forgot the name, this detective sergeant, or, not a captain, but they have different words in the UK. But so she was becoming the first female top detective. And the second episode was about a race, about police treatment of blacks. And remember, this show started, I think the first one was 1991 and the second one was 1992. So this is like a long time ago. This is like 30 years ago. And then the third one, which I wanted to talk about, was about transsexuals, about she was like in the Vice Squad, and there was a murder mystery involving rent boys, male prostitutes that were underage. And I thought this was fascinating because if it was done today, it wouldn't be very well received, because a lot of, in the past history, a lot of gay men were accused of being pedophiles, and this sort of reinforced that stereotype. And its treatment of the transsexuals at the time, for the time in the early 90s, was tried to be sympathetic, but it wasn't that sympathetic. They were still treated as outcasts, even by the people that were sympathetic to them. So I thought it was fascinating. And the main transsexual character was played by Peter Garibaldi, the Doctor Who later became a Doctor Who. And it was so interesting watching all these actors, British actors from the early 90s, who have since become like huge names, and they're so like young, and the acting was so good in this show. I don't know when the vaccine. I keep thinking, I've been telling myself and everyone, oh, it's going to be by the summertime. Vaccine's going to be rolled out, but it might be late summer. It's going to be this year, I think. Oh, I missed something. Blue Black spent the whole week believing. I know, the hypochondria is real, folks. And I don't even consider myself a hypochondriac, but sometimes you're just, okay. Starting to catch up. Okay. The third tier after health worker and elderly. and immune compromised. Yeah, I'm probably in that tier too, Lynette. Anyway, getting back to being paranoid about being sick, the Prime Suspect show dealt a lot with AIDS and sort of how people were really afraid of AIDS at the time. So I thought it was a fascinating show, even though I'm sure it's considered problematic because of how the stereotypes of gay men and especially, transsexuals. Okay, so I'm going to start the white black liner now. And Helen Mirren is such a great actress. Why is this? I catched up. Oh, man. Okay, this wing may have, I may have drawn this wing a little high. And of course, this is my problem with doing makeup is I am not a great artist in terms of being able to draw a straight line. Even though I love the look of drag queens with these big graphic looks, and I keep trying to emulate it, I just may have to come to the conclusion that I don't have the skill. Okay. Oops. No, something. It's something. Okay. So I'm going to do fill in the black. So I'm not even sure what I'm going to film today, to be honest. I've sort of been out of it this week and I haven't really planned. I wanted to do a review of the Poppy Wars, but I really need to outline or write some type of script for that. So I really need to think about it more. I'm still not stewing, but I'm still thinking about it. And I can't believe that author is so young. I'm really curious what she's going to do next. R.F. Kuang. And by the way, if you're thinking about doing the audiobook for Poppy Boards, I highly recommend it. The narrator is really good. Actually, I kind of want to do a video on audiobooks, but I need to plan that out more too. Oh, I also released the reaction to Bookish Realm. Do you think it's tacky? Because she did respond, she put a comment on my video. And then I was like, well, if you have time to repost it on Twitter, I'd really appreciate it. And she did. I did the same thing for Daniel Green. And he didn't retweet my thing, but I don't think he actually, he gets so many comments, I assume, on YouTube that you probably didn't even see it. But I don't know, is it tacky to ask people to tweet your thing? A Blue Black, talking about Poppy Worth author. She's 24. I even suspected that she was not the writer, but when I saw an interview of her, and she looks well and read eloquent. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, thank you, Cappuccino. I usually have 2 or 3 going at the same time, usually 1 or 2 audiobooks and a Kindle or printed book. Well, Lynette, I can't really do that. I just like reading 1 book at a time. And the only reason, I think I've mentioned this several times, the only reason I do audiobooks is to have something to listen to while I run or exercise. And it's kind of my motivation to get out and get off my butt and do some activity. Because it actually makes me want to go exercise so I can listen to this story. And I try just to listen to it only when I'm jogging. Unless I'm like really close to a chapter, I'll just keep listening to it till the end of a chapter, end of the book. But I screwed that up. But so I only have 1 audiobook, which, like I said, I only listen to when exercising, and the other book I read is usually a Kindle book, and I usually just read them 1 at a time. I don't know. That's just me. Of course, if you saw the Bookish Realm video, what did she say? Like, she reads 14 books at a time. And she did comment under that video, or to clarify, that she does listen to her audiobooks sometimes like 1.5 or double speed. So not only is she practicing like speed reading, but she's also listening to audiobooks sped up just to read as many books as possible. I think that's, more power to her, but that's really dedication to books. That's just like, okay. I didn't like the green. Well, he did comment on my video, which I really appreciated. So I know that he at least watched it, but I just think that he gets so many requests to stuff like that. Blue Black can't do audiobooks, but reads multiple books simultaneously. What books do you think you have to defend? I have a couple of guilty pleasures, such as creature feature horror. Do I have to defend? I'm not sure. I never really thought of that. I mean, of course, there's talking about creature feature. There's The Wasp Factory, which I feel like I have to. I'm trying to like half defend and half explain or give warnings. I do like really old Edgar Rice Burroughs novels that I don't feel many people like these days. Oh, these are so uneven. This goes up. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get better than that. Oops. Social commentary, gender identity, anti-racism, feminism, politics. From Amy Booksit. Maybe I'm not understanding the question. I'm doing squiggly lines again. Okay. Great genres to read. What are the genres? Are those genres? I don't know. They could be considered genres now. They just seem like subject matters to me, or oops. Backlash from people who don't want to hear about this social issue. Well, that's, yeah, for those subject matters. Yeah, I can see that, Cappuccino. If you enjoy reading something, go on and have fun. Oops. My partner's family is very conservative. I will read what I want. Judge me for it. Well, that also assumes that they're readers and actually know what you're reading. I came from a very conservative family myself. My father was very conservative. Actually, when I came out as gay, this was back in the 80s, he disowned me. So I didn't speak to him for like 20 years. But we eventually became civil. I'll just say that. But he passed away several years ago. It's my white liner. Sorry. I read a great book a couple years ago about how the world is designed for the average man and how it endangers women. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, don't worry, Blue Black. It was a long time ago. Not something that I deal with now. I think I should connect that white. Yeah. Thank you, Blue Black. Yeah, things were a lot different in the 80s and 90s, that's for sure. And it's funny, some people are gay men that are younger being nostalgic or looking back and thinking, oh, wow, the 80s were so cool. The 80s really were not that cool, especially if you're a gay man. But I mean, if you just look at the music and the club scene. But the 80s were actually a very nihilistic time to come of age. You had AIDS, you had the Cold War. Lynette, well, it happens. It happens. I'm trying to do black on the outside and then fade it to white on the inside. How's that look? Should I just connect these two black lines? I guess I should. They're almost connected already. Oh, shoot. Okay. And I think like disowning your gay kid still happens today, maybe more depending on where you live. Like if you're in a more rural area, if you have a very conservative religious family. But it might not happen as often these days, but it still happens. Which I don't know if you've heard of the Trevor Project, but it's a charity that focuses on LGBT youth. And there's a reason why that charity exists, especially for trans people. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I was married with 3 children by 1982. I had teenagers in the 90s. Wow. Lynette, you're older than I am. I think it is still very difficult for gay youth to come out. It depends on where it is. You know, it is easier to come out. Here's the thing. Why I think it's much easier now is because there's so much more visibility. During the 80s, there's a movement because gay men were just dying left and right from the AIDS. But there's a car just passing. There's a movement called Silence Equals Death. So literally they're saying, hey, we're dying here, but people don't know that we exist. So we can't be silent anymore. We can't hide in the closet. We have to come out and show the public, hey, look, we're out here. We're in these numbers and we're dying. But anyway, since that time, I think through social media, there is just so much more representation and influencers that are gay and out and proud. So it's a whole different situation, or it's so much easier, I think, to come out these days than it was 30 years ago. Okay. Cappuccino came of age in the 80s and was very harsh and yeah, tell me about it. And with you, Cappuccino. Did not like to party and did not want to play that game. Yeah, I was kind of a partier in the 80s. My city is very gay friendly, though the rural areas of Chazzy are less so. You know, and it's always the urban areas that are more accepting because that's sort of where the gay people congregate, but also in urban settings, there are usually just so much diversity in terms of race or income level or backgrounds, because everyone is just comes to the city. So people are just naturally more accepting than if you're in a rural or a small town where everyone's sort of the same. Everyone has the same outlook and upbringing and that sort of thing. So there's a reason why, I don't know if it's that way, I assume it's that way in the United States, that still a lot of gay men and women still go to the city, congregate to the city. I know I did. First chance I had, I went to University of Maryland, which was near DC, and then after that, just moved to San Francisco. How's that look? This went fast. What time is it? I don't know if I'm getting better or if the flash palette really made that much of a difference. I think it did. I think I'll work on my eyebrows. Very conservative people were saying it was just a punishment. Yes, that was a huge thing in the 80s. When AIDS came out, oh my God, the very conservative evangelical South was, there's God's punishment. We've been telling you all along. Hey, are the least religious of the Australians. Good for them. Oh, thank you, Cappuccino. Yeah, religion teaches some, I don't want to offend you if you're religious, but some religions and some religious people just makes it hard to accept people that are different, or that teachings, in my opinion, can be really antiquated. Thinking this was highlighter, but it's not really doing much. Okay, work on the eyebrows. And for instance, Japan is not very progressive when it comes to gay rights. But it's almost unheard of. Gay bashing is almost unheard of in Japan. So what's the difference between, say, Japan, which historically hasn't been very gay friendly, at least since the Victorian era, and say the American South, where there is gay bashing? Well, could it be that the main religion of Japan is Buddhism and Shintoism? Could that be a reason? I don't know, just asking. A lot of it just has to do with how you're raised and grow up, what you're taught. Oh, shoot. Shaky hands. Can't draw a line, comes back to bite me. Can I add some light? Conclusion of this discussion, I'm the youngest. Blue-black. We love you still. You're great, Lynette. You're improved like fine wine. Yeah, religion has a lot to do with it. Over in the main homophobic groups in South Korea are the newly converted evangelicals. I mean, you can go into a theological discussion about like the original Hebrew and what certain passages mean, but I mean, because there are obviously Christian gays and Christian sects that support gays, but some of the things, if you just read literally, doesn't seem to be very supportive of gays. I mean, it says what it says. Okay. I think this look is doing pretty good. I'll probably mess it up somehow. There's always something. At the end, I look and it's, oh, I could have done this better. I kind of am liking this. Let's see if I can fade some more. Okay. I can't understand religion. I can't understand the need of an adult for religion. I treat religious as mythology. Well, do I have a real pale pink? I understand spirituality, trying to understand, you know, what is life, what is consciousness. I think I understand the appeal for religion, searching for like spiritual truths. But yeah, a lot of times religions don't seem to be very user-friendly. What am I saying? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Cappuccino. I grew up evangelical, still have faith, but I am so angry at the evangelical movement and their leadership. They became obsessed with money and power. Yeah, because if you're a Christian evangelical, I mean, didn't Jesus like, he didn't like raise up the rich and wealthy. It was like the poor and the destitute. Anyway, we don't need to get into a religious conversation. Ashley. I think I rejected religion early in life because I read so much mythology and put the Christian stories. Understand that. Bookish Realm. Oh, that's why you said hello, Ashley. Oh my gosh, I am so... I don't know if you're still here, Ashley, but my eyesight isn't that great. So I'm like looking down. Oh, thank you for joining us. I'm also rebuilding the interpretations I was taught in Do Not Trust Teachers. Well, there's a lot of online out there. So I am liking how this look is turning out. Ashley, if you're still there, is there anything you want to talk about? You can just watch me mess up my makeup as usual. Well, thank you. We are very pleased you're here. Jesus showed love and care to people that leaders shunned and called unworthy. Yeah, I don't understand it. We're talking about religion, but so I think the videos I want to do today, and this is inspired by Ashley in that video she did that we reacted to about what is critically acclaimed books. Well, one definition, I think, is books that win awards. So I wanted to look at like the Hugo Awards, maybe the Nebula Awards, and what's that middle grade award? The Newbery? Am I saying that right? So that could be a fun video, and I don't really have to script it out and do anything too fancy. So we'll see. We Buddhism or Quakerism? Well, I'm half Japanese, so all my Japanese side of my family are Buddhists. I wanted to read the Newbery Award, still thinking of the logistics behind it. Here's the thing about the Newbery, and maybe you could tell me, is that if I read a middle grade book, I want to read an upper middle grade, like a Percy Jackson or I think my favorite one in recent times was The Girl Who Drank the Moon, which I thought was such a fantastic book. But anyway, I'm not that keen on really young middle grade books. So I'm never quite sure how the Newberys categorize that, or if they do categorize that. To grow and learn is very commendable. I wanted to read all the Newbery Awards, still thinking of the logistics behind it. I think I just read that. Friday is Black Love Day. Very good. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the only book I read from a black trans author, by the way, is Kason Calendar's King of the Rising, which I hated that book. I hated that book, and I loved Queen of the Conquered so much, and I did film a video on King of the Rising, and I kind of feel guilty for doing it because it's not a a good review, even though I like the author. I like the writing. Okay, catch up. It's about that. He doesn't categorize it, but they seem to balance the two groups. Oh, interesting. So I'm just going to look it up. That'll be my video today. I'll do one on the Hugo, maybe Nebula, and one on the Newberry. Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. I read it at 15, and it gave the Native American account of history. I haven't read that. That sounds like a good one to read if you're into nonfiction. Lately, they'll felt a little older than past books. Well, I'm happy about that because, I mean, I know some adults like picture books or whatever, but I like upper middle grade. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. By the way, if you guys haven't read The Girl Who Drank the Moon, that's such a well-written book. Okay, so should I go into lipstick? Okay, this is where I can screw up. Ashley, I think you got my look. When did I film that video? A couple weeks ago, where I went crazy on the lips. They just got all out of proportion. That's the life of being a drag queen. Okay. You love picture books. Maybe if I had kids, I would like picture books, but I thought I do like Dr. Seuss. What's on your TBR? Oh, I hope it's not King of the Rising. I've heard that title and it sounds really good. Oh, the Girl Drank the Moon. Yes. Yes. It's written as kind of like a fairy tale, but the prose is just so good. I don't know about this pink liner. The other one I want to read, and I don't know if it's middle grade or young adult, but it's The House on the Cerulean Sea, because everyone's talking about that. And I really like The Extraordinary by that author. His name is TJ Klune, I think. Yeah, the best part of this live stream is when I can't speak. I think I should have done a darker lip liner. I don't even know where I got this. Okay. on an online TBR. Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. My favorite genres are science fiction and fantasy. Yep. I grew up, it is funny because I vacillate between science fiction and fantasy because I guess I started with fantasy, then I got really into science fiction, then I got really into fantasy. I prefer fantasy over science fiction, I guess, overall. Priority. Oh, the Cerulean. Oh, you loved it. Okay, see, another recommendation. I heard that. Oh, really? Because I know the other book he wrote, or that I read that he wrote, The Extraordinaries, was definitely young adult. Oh, hi, Elle. The House on the Cerulean Sea is just fantastic and all-around feel-good book. I've heard of Clune and some, well, it does read a bit like a fable or allegory, a bit didactic. The Extraordinaries is about a gay teen with ADHD, a really severe case of ADHD. I don't know if it's severe, but a case of ADHD, which is not presented as a disability. It's just presented as, hey, this kid thinks differently than other people, which I really appreciated. And it's a kind of a gay superhero romance. And the main character isn't a superhero, but he's sort of infatuated with superheroes. So it's really a good, fun book. Funny. It's a funny book, too. Okay. Read Clune, only good. Yeah, Blue Black. Yeah, I'm a very good writer. I can't start the Cerulean Sea until the 27th because I wanted to listen to the scribed copy. Oh, that's a good idea. Huh, I don't know about this liner. I'm gonna have to darken that liner up. Let's see. Oop. Sorry, not talking. I've recommended Cerulean to just about everyone. To your 11-year-old niece. Oh, that's fantastic. And 63-year-old mother. Technically, it is adult. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. Kind of sci-fi do you like? Oh, time to lift up those Poppy War tomes. Yeah, really like the Poppy Wars. If you watch Daniel Green, he did a video, not Daniel Green, Dominic Noble. He did a video on one of my favorite books that I hadn't thought of in a while, or I have thought about it. Anyway, it's Ringworld by Larry Niven, who is one of the OG science fiction writers out there. And that was the type of science fiction that I was really into, 30 years ago. Okay. Try to smooth this out. As I say, writing on this face is like drawing crayon or drawing on sandpaper with crayon because I have stubble. That look okay? Okay. Underlift of the poppy word. Okay. Not even sure. I don't think I've read enough to figure that out. Enough science fiction. Well, there's hard science fiction, which is like Ringworld. There are soap opera or space opera science fiction, which is just fun. It's like Star Wars. There's cyberpunk. I'm stalling. Okey-doke, I'm listening to The Hobbit while doing Lord of the Rings. Jigsaw puzzle. Oh, I love that. I love that. I am shocked Ashley has not read Lord of the Rings. That is shocking. I think there's a chance the puzzle and book will take about the same time. Oh, that's convenient. I don't know if I like these lips, but I think I will actually want to put on more blush for this red look. And I should probably put a little white in the center. Excuse me, just to ombre it out a little. Oh, this lipstick's really dry. I've also seen, I don't want to talk to you. Star Trek is my childhood. Star Trek, I owe a lot to Star Trek. Or Doctor Who. but I'm ashamed to admit it. No, you don't be ashamed. But if you do watch Doctor Who, Tom Baker is the one to watch. Especially with Doctor Who, yes. Especially Tom Baker. This lipstick is really dry. I'm going to have to put on some gloss. I don't know. I put on glitter later. We'll see. Anyway, so the wig I picked today is my only stacked wig. And what a stacked wig is it's two wigs in one. So it's like super huge, which drag queens love because it makes their heads look smaller. The bigger the wig, the smaller your head. So, and to show you, and I'm sure you've seen this on my videos before, there's a, take out the needles before putting it on your head. All the needles out. Yeah. I don't know if you can see it, but there are zip ties holding the second wig. Well, you won't be able to see it, but there are zip ties holding the second wig on top of the main wig. So this wig isn't even fully in camera. Oh, let me put on. On a necklace. Excuse my hairy arms. Should have done this first. No, let's just hope it stays. I have some enormous earrings. And some gloves to complete the look. Come on, gloves. So, God, this wig is so huge. I'd like to get another stacked wig, but they're kind of expensive, and I don't do wigs myself. I buy them off of Etsy. There's only one person I buy them from, and that's Friston, the retired Hawaiian theatrical wig maker. And so for looking for a wig, that's who I would. Well, maybe I don't need this. And let's back it up a little bit. No. Okay, there, the wig's in frame. And here we have the completed look. Okay, let's catch up on questions if we have any. We're talking about Doctor Who. Yes. I plan to listen to the Invisible Man, the 1933 movie, and then watch Dominic. Yeah, I like how he does those, what does he call them? The adaptation show. Did not know that. I am a real Trekker. Well, if you say Trekker, you are a... there used to be a conflict between, do you call them Trekkers or Trekkies? And the diehard Star Trek. The diehard Star Trek fans call themselves Trekkers, and they're some are insulted if you say Trekkie. I always like Trekkie, but Whovian, yes. Apparently, check out Star Trek and Doctor Who. Well, I love the original Star Trek, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because nostalgia. You have to look past the 60s clothing and backdrops, but I think the stories are really good, and they're actually written by some well-known science fiction authors. Babylon 5, yeah, we were talking about Babylon 5 the other week. I totally enjoy that show. Thank you, Ashley. Alexis Carrington in Dynasty. Sneak. Is that the look? Thank you, Amy. The concert stream, the pink lip and blue on the top is fabulous. Thank you, Elle. I did not look at Dynasty, but I did watch Dallas. I think I watched both at the times. I think back in those days in gay bars, they actually showed them, like these days it's RuPaul's Drag Race. In those days it was Dallas and Dynasty. I guess mostly Dynasty. Okay. We only had 2 TV channels. Yeah, things are so different. Media is so different than it used to be, as Lynette knows. Okay, so anyway, thank you for joining me. This is my completed book. I hope you enjoyed the Get Ready With Me. This is certainly not a makeup tutorial, although I really liked how the pink faded or blended by using the cream flash palette, which like I said, is actually face paint. Okay. Bookish Realms, CJ Cherry. Well, yeah, she's a classic. Okay, so I did a whole video on classic female authors, but CJ Cherry is one of my favorite. Really recommend Citeen. Joanna Russ wrote The Female Man, which is a hardcore feminist sci-fi novel from the 70s. Of course, there's Anne McCaffrey, Octavia Butler, which probably everyone's heard about and read. Yeah, there's some good female science fiction authors. Not that many of the older days, but okay. And I like How You Lose the Time. I haven't read that. I have not read that. There is a science fiction author who's a trans woman who lives in the Bay Area. God, what's her name? Charlie something. Charlie. Oh, this is great. And the book was called 100 Sparrows, something about sparrows in the sky. But it was sort of science fiction and fantasy. It was like the contrast between the 2 main characters. One is sort of the scientist and the other is a witch. And really, really good stuff. Thank you. I'll try to read. Oh, The Expanse. Love The Expanse. It's definitely, I guess it's a space opera, but it has some pretty interesting hard science in it as well, I think. Oh, those are old videos. You're welcome too, but just be prepared for bad makeup, bad audio. I find sci-fi to recommend for a new beginner because there's so many such, yeah. Amy's read the first 6 Expanse books, and I haven't read the novellas, so I've read the novels. Yeah, and the TV series is good as well. Although you don't watch TV, so what do you care? Sparrow. Oh, okay. That, yeah. Do you remember the name of the author, Cappuccino? It's a, whoever this, if someone can look that up, it's a great science fiction book. That's it. Charlie Jane Anders, All the Birds in the Sky. It's a really good book for science fiction book for people that aren't into science fiction. It's kind of almost a contemporary fantasy, but there are a lot of science fiction elements in it. Oh, hi, Words. You're back. Recommend The Cruel Stars by John Burlington and Revenger by Alistair. I haven't read either of those. Oh, my goodness. Yes, that is the one I was talking about. Thank you. I'm a Trekker because I prefer The Next Generation. Oh, really? I can do a whole episode. Next week on Get Ready to Me, we'll talk more about TNG versus, which is the Next Generation versus Classic Trek. Yeah, TV, and I come in contact on rare occasions. Okay, well, I am going to go film some videos right now. Once again, thank you for joining me on this Get Ready With Me. I try to do them every Saturday around this time. And I think this look turned out pretty good. So once again, thank you. And may all the books you read be blessed. Bye-bye.